If she really wants to do it, then let's just do it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do is drink it. Drink me. 3 or 4 swallows and it's all down. And you're going to go to sleep permanently. In 10 minutes, you'll be off this planet. Praise the Lord. All right, now I gotta go bye-bye.
George has to do some real estate business. He says he'll be back in a few hours.
He's holding it in, I can tell, by that grin on his face. He's getting ready to have a tantrum.
And how does it manifest itself?
I can act one out for you if you'd like.
Really?
Sure, I'll do a little acting.
My God, I had answered this question enough. I'm not going to answer this anymore. I am not going to answer that question anymore. I can't take any more of this. Get out. Stop it. Just shut up.
Susan has always said that her spider bite symptoms have left her severely exhausted and disabled, and so it's a big surprise to see her bounce around the room.
That is the real George XO. He is giving you his best dog and pony show, but that is the real George XO. Food from me, and I put it back.
I think it reflects badly on George. Susan's exactly the sort of person he helps kill themselves, and I don't think she's as sick as she says she is. And then she says something extraordinary. She says she set up her own solo suicide business and will help practically anyone if the price is right.
He doesn't know that I've been other places doing this. He thinks I haven't done it on my own yet. I see this as a business. He sees it as a calling. There's a big difference in operations. With me, it's a business. No cash, no help.
Susan says her price is $7,000. I'm beginning to see her as a monster of George's creation. She says she's about to do a solo job no other Right to Die group would touch.
We're the people of last resort.
Isn't that dangerous, though? I mean, you're bound to get it wrong, aren't you?
Probably at some point, yeah.
She says George's worst crime is his financial imprudence, that he'll help people who can't afford to pay.
George gets to a point, and it's going to come soon, where he'll run out of money. He won't scale down the expensive cuts of meats every night. He would rather kill himself than economize.
I've always thought he seems quite keen on killing himself.
I think he will do it soon. I really do. And that's why I've been pressing him to give me a list of his current clients.
Susan says that although money is her main interest, she will walk away from a client if they seem too mentally ill.
You're going to have to trust me on this one. You can really tell when somebody is terribly, terribly sick and ready to die, or if they're mentally ill and you just don't want to mess with them. And I'm better at that than George is. I really am.
I can't understand why George would want Susan as an assistant. She doesn't offer the love and support of a partner like Thomas did. Instead, she seems like a mercenary who's happy to sell George down the river. With Susan, George seems to be venturing into a darker place. It's almost evening, and I've been putting off asking George the hardest question of all, but I can't prevaricate anymore. I tell him I showed the footage to a criminal psychologist. This forensic psychologist said he thinks you should stop. He thinks that you're out of your depth and it's a slippery slope and that you should stop.
And so what's the slippery slope I'm on?
Not being able to stop helping people because you see it as your calling. And you like to be there at the moment of death because you get something out of being there.
You know, psychologists have all these great theories. This sounds like a Freudian, you know, and he's got some kind of notion, some theory he's bringing to bear. And it generally is some kind of negative evaluation of the person. I don't know where this is all coming from.
Well, he says that you enjoy being there at the moment of somebody's death. sexually.
No, bullshit. I think that's a sick statement.
This is how,
I'm sorry, but that's the answer I would give. I think that's a sick statement. Absolutely not. Was I playing with myself while I was doing this? I mean, geez, where would he even say that? Okay.
Oh, well, I think I can answer that question.
Okay, answer that.
Okay. He says that when you're chanting, it's like a sexual act, and then as soon as the phone drops down, your demeanour changes instantly, and it's like post-orgasm.
I think that this man is not familiar with chanting. Does he do any meditation practice himself?
I don't know.
I think he doesn't understand that stuff at all.
What if you're in the middle of helping somebody and you're on a roll and it's all happening and you've flown all the way there and it's your calling and, you know, for the 5th time they've said, oh, I've changed my mind, I don't want to go ahead with it. Do you immediately stop and say, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
You don't sometimes say, oh, go on.
No, no, no.
I do worry, George, that because you're helping people who are very vulnerable and in such a grey area, and because it's the most important thing that you do to you, and because there's no framework, because you're out doing this as the Lone Ranger, you may, if somebody's on the fence, be encouraging them.
It just hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. Otherwise, these people wouldn't be hanging on for years and years and years. I think with the woman who was on the tape, yes, I probably was pressing her to some extent, but, you know, I was pressing her to make up her mind one way or another because I can't go flying across the country week after week and have nothing come of it. I want her to either go on and live her life or to check out. But it's her choice, it's not mine.
A few weeks pass, and then I get an early morning call from Susan. She says the FBI just came and arrested George. Thomas woke up to find George and 2 men standing there. They said, we're putting George in prison until we can take him to Ireland. George didn't have the time to run into the kitchen and drink the poison.
Dearest Thomas, I love you so much and just can't bear the thought of snuggling next to you, Winky, and our pussycats. But you know, this may never happen ever again.
Thomas has been coming regularly, and every time he comes, I start crying. What does cause concern is the utter indignity with which we are treated by the guards. I can see that Martin Luther King, Mandela, and Gandhi, not to forget Kevorkian, have their larger impact because of their imprisonments.
Susan emails to say that now George is in prison, she's taken over the business and has already helped someone die for money in New Zealand. I can't work out if she's telling the truth or fantasising. I asked Derek Humphrey if he knows anything about a New Zealand case, and he says that he might have been an unwitting party to it.
This woman in New Zealand put a message on my news list. She very much agreed with how somebody else had taken their life and wished somebody would help her too because she was suffering. Sue Wilson came to me and said, can I have the name and address of this woman on your list? And I said no. I said, could you tell me something about yourself?